I still remember the exact moment I decided I'd had enough. It wasn't in the cafeteria where Tyler shoved my lunch tray to the floor in front of everyone. It wasn't in the locker room where he snapped me with wet towels until my skin was raw. It wasn't even that morning when I found my backpack floating in the school toilet, all my homework ruined, my textbooks waterlogged beyond repair. It was quieter than that. Smaller. I was sitting on my bed that night. My little sister Maya knocked on my door, asking if I wanted to play her new board game. She was 9 years old, all gap-toothed smiles and wild curly hair, and she looked at me like I was some kind of superhero, like I could do anything. I told her I was too tired. I watched her face fall, watched her shuffle back to her room, and I realized that Tyler hadn't just been stealing my lunch money and my dignity for the past 6 months. He'd been stealing who I was, the brother Maya deserved. The person I used to be before I learned to walk through school hallways like a ghost. Invisible, silent, praying nobody would notice me. That was the night everything changed. Not because I suddenly felt brave, but because I finally understood that being afraid every single day was worse than whatever Tyler could do to me in one confrontation. The bullying started on the first day of sophomore year. I transferred to Lincoln High mid-semester freshman year after my dad's job relocated us across the state. I'd spent those first months keeping my head down, making a few casual friends, staying under the radar. It worked. I was just another face in the crowd of 1,500 students. But sophomore year, I made a mistake. I joined the robotics club. I'd always loved building things, taking apart electronics, and putting them back together. My old school had a robotics team that competed nationally. I thought Lincoln's club would be my way to finally feel like I belonged somewhere. Tyler Patterson was the captain. Senior year, 6'1" of muscle and meanness wrapped in a varsity jacket. He had that kind of charisma that made teachers think he was leadership material and made other students either want to be him or avoid crossing him. I didn't know any of this when I showed up to the first meeting, excited and naive. The club met in Mr. Harrison's engineering classroom after school on Tuesdays and Thursdays. There were maybe 12 of us that first day. I sat in the back, trying to read the room. Tyler stood at the front like he owned the place, talking about some regional competition, about last year's robot design, about expectations for new members. Then he looked directly at me. "You, new kid, what's your experience?" I stood up, my palms sweating. "I'm Ryan Foster. I was on my old school's team. We placed 3rd at nationals last year. I mainly worked on programming and control systems." The room went quiet. Tyler's expression didn't change, but something shifted in his eyes. Something cold. "Nationals?" He said it like I'd just claimed I could fly. "What school?" "Westbrook Academy." "In Westbrook Academy." He cut me off, walking closer. "Private school?" "Well, yeah, but nothing." He was right in front of me now. "Let me tell you something about how things work here. Ryan from Westbrook Academy. This isn't some private school club where mommy and daddy's donations buy you trophies. This is real competition, real work. And just because you paid your way onto a team doesn't mean you know anything about robotics." My face burned. I didn't pay my way. I earned my spot. I can show you my code, my schematics. You can show me by proving it. His smile was sharp. "Thursday. You'll present your design ideas for this year's competition bot. If they're actually good, maybe you can stay. If they're the kind of garbage I'm expecting from a spoiled private school kid, you're out." I should have walked out right then. Should have seen it for what it was. A trap, a setup, a warning shot. But I was 15 and stupid and so desperate to prove I belonged that I nodded. "Okay, Thursday." I spent the next 2 days barely sleeping. I researched the competition rules, sketched dozens of designs, wrote code until my eyes burned. I came up with a design that I genuinely believed was innovative. a modular arm system that could switch between different tools mid-match. Thursday arrived. I walked into Mr. Harrison's classroom with my notebook full of designs and my laptop loaded with simulations. Tyler was already there, leaning against a desk, surrounded by his friends from the team. They all went quiet when I entered. Well, Tyler's voice was mocking. The private school genius has arrived. Let's see what you've got. I set up my laptop, connected it to the projector. My hands shook, but I forced my voice steady. I walked them through my design, explained the modular system, the programming logic, the competitive advantages. I'd practiced this presentation 100 times in my bedroom mirror. When I finished, there was silence. Mr. Harrison hadn't shown up. I realized later that Tyler had probably told him the meeting was canceled. It was just me and Tyler and his crew. That's it? Tyler finally said. That's your brilliant design? Yeah. I mean, we could refine it, but the core concept, he started laughing. Not just a chuckle. Full, loud, mocking laughter. His friends joined in like a pack of hyenas. The core concept is garbage. Modular arms? Do you have any idea how much weight that adds? How complicated the switching mechanism would be? How many points of failure? I calculated the weight. It's within specifications. Your calculations are wrong. He wasn't laughing anymore. And you know what else? Your code is inefficient. Your design is impractical. And you coming in here acting like you're going to save our team with your fancy private school education is insulting to everyone who's actually put in work. Heat rose in my chest. That's not fair. You didn't even really look at... I don't need to look at it. Tyler stepped closer. I can smell bullshit when I see it, just like I can smell a spoiled, rich kid who thinks he's better than everyone. I never said I was better than anyone. You didn't have to say it. It's written all over you. He grabbed my notebook, the one with all my sketches. This is what I think of your designs. He ripped out the first page, then the second. Then he just tore the whole thing in half. Pages scattered across the floor like broken promises. Something in me wanted to fight back, to shove him, to scream. But there were 5 of them and 1 of me, and I could see in their eyes that they wanted me to react, wanted an excuse. So I did what I would do for the next 6 months. I bent down, gathered my torn pages, picked up my laptop, and walked out without a word while they laughed behind me. That was just the beginning. After that first meeting, Tyler made me his project. It started small, accidentally bumping into me in the hallway, knocking my books out of my hands, calling me private school whenever he saw me, always with that edge of contempt. Then it escalated. He found out I had gym class right before lunch, started waiting outside the locker room. The first time, he just tripped me as I walked past. I went down hard, my knee smashing into the floor. He apologized loudly, made sure everyone saw him help me up, asked if I was okay. The perfect concerned senior, but when he pulled me to my feet, he leaned in close and whispered, "That's one. I'm going to make you regret ever thinking you were good enough for this school." The trips became routine. Then came the shoulder checks, accidental collisions in the hallway that sent me crashing into lockers. My lunch getting accidentally knocked off the table. My backpack going missing, only to be found in bizarre places. The girls' bathroom, the dumpster behind the school, hanging from a tree in the quad. He was smart about it. Never did anything that couldn't be explained as an accident or a prank. Never left marks that would show, and he'd built himself such a golden reputation with the faculty that even when I tried to report him, the vice principal gave me a tired speech about how sometimes teenage boys, roughhouse, and maybe I was being too sensitive. The worst part wasn't the physical stuff, though. It was the way Tyler poisoned everything around me. He spread rumors, told people I'd been kicked out of Westbrook for cheating, told people my family was broke now, that we'd lost all our money, That's why I transferred to public school. None of it was true. My dad just got a job opportunity in a different state, but truth didn't matter. The rumors stuck. People started avoiding me. The few friends I'd made freshman year suddenly had reasons they couldn't hang out. Girls I'd been friendly with stopped responding to my texts. In the cafeteria, I'd sit down at a table and watch people grab their trays and move, not even being mean about it, just treating me like I was contaminated. By November, I was eating lunch in the library. By December, I'd stopped eating lunch at all. Just easier that way. Tyler found out, of course. Started calling me skeleton in the hallways. Would make loud comments about how I was wasting away. Asked if my family could afford food. Each comment delivered with that smile that made teachers think he was being friendly, while every student knew exactly what he was really doing. I stopped trying to defend myself. Stopped reacting. I thought if I just became invisible enough, boring enough, he'd lose interest and move on to someone else. I was wrong. My silence just made him push harder, looking for the breaking point. In January, he cornered me in the locker room after gym class. Everyone else had already left. Coach Nelson had gone to his office. It was just me and Tyler, and the smell of old sweat and cheap soap. You know what I don't get about you, private school. He stood between me and the door. You just take it. Every single thing I do to you, you just take it. Why is that? I focused on tying my shoes. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. He kicked my gym bag across the floor. I've been making your life hell for months, and you just accept it. Don't fight back. Don't even tell anyone. Why? I didn't answer. Didn't look at him. Is it because you're scared? He leaned down, his face inches from mine. Or is it because, deep down, you think you deserve it? My hands clenched into fists. But I didn't move, didn't speak. Tyler laughed, but there was no humor in it. That's what I thought. You know what's funny? I barely even have to do anything anymore. You're destroying yourself. Look at you. You're a ghost. You're nothing. He left. I sat there on the locker room bench for 20 minutes, staring at the floor, wondering if he was right. That night was the first time I seriously considered transferring schools. My parents had noticed I'd been quiet, withdrawn. My grades were slipping hard to focus on homework when you spend all your energy just surviving each school day. My mom asked if everything was okay. I told her I was fine. Just stressed about classes. I didn't tell them about Tyler. Partly because I was ashamed. Partly because I didn't want to be that kid who couldn't handle high school. Partly because some broken part of me had started to believe that maybe this was just how things were. Maybe this was who I was now. By February, I'd perfected the art of invisibility. I knew Tyler's schedule, knew which hallways to avoid, which bathrooms were safe, which teachers' classrooms I could hide in during passing periods. I'd mapped out the entire school in terms of danger zones and safe spaces. But you can't be invisible forever. Eventually, you have to exist. The incident in the cafeteria happened on a Tuesday. I'd decided to risk eating lunch in public again. Not in the main cafeteria, too dangerous, but in the annex, a smaller room where mostly freshmen ate. Tyler rarely went there, except that day. He did. I was sitting alone at a corner table, halfway through a sandwich, when I heard his voice. There you are. Been looking for you, private school. My stomach dropped. The room wasn't crowded, but there were maybe 30 kids there. All of them went quiet. Everyone at Lincoln High knew what it meant when Tyler Patterson paid attention to someone. Just eating lunch, I said quietly, not looking up. Yeah, I can see that. He sat down across from me, uninvited, unwanted. You know what I heard? I heard you've been telling people I'm bullying you. I hadn't told anyone. No, I haven't. Really? Because Mrs. Hendricks in the counseling office called me in yesterday, asked me some interesting questions about our relationship. His smile was dangerous. You know what I told her? I didn't respond. My hands were shaking. I shoved them under the table. I told her the truth. That I've been trying to be friendly, trying to help you fit in, but you're just so sensitive, so socially awkward, that you take normal teenage interaction and turn it into some big dramatic thing. He leaned forward, and you know what? She believed me. Because everyone knows you're a weird loner and I'm a varsity athlete with a 3.8 gigapascals and a spotless record. I never told Mrs. Hendricks anything. My voice came out smaller than I wanted. Maybe not. But somebody's been talking. And I don't like that. He reached across the table and grabbed my lunch tray. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to make it very clear to everyone that there's no bullying, that we're friends. That I'm actually a really nice guy. We're not friends. No, we're not. In one smooth motion, he flipped my tray. Food went everywhere. Sandwich, chips, apple, chocolate milk, all of it hit the floor. Some of it hit me. The entire room watched in silence. 30 witnesses. Tyler stood up, making a big show of being apologetic. Oh man, I'm so sorry. That was an accident. Here, let me help you clean up. He grabbed napkins, started making a mess of wiping up the spilled milk, spreading it around more than cleaning it. You're just so clumsy, Ryan. You should be more careful. I sat there, covered in chocolate milk, while Tyler made a performance of helping me, making sure everyone saw him being the good guy, the one trying to help the awkward kid who couldn't even eat lunch without making a mess. When he finally left, nobody came over. Nobody asked if I was okay. They just went back to their conversations, relieved it wasn't them. I cleaned up the mess, threw away my ruined lunch, went to the bathroom and tried to wash chocolate milk out of my shirt, stared at myself in the mirror and didn't recognize the person looking back. That was the day I stopped going to school cafeterias entirely. Started spending lunch period in my car, parked in the far corner of the lot, eating protein bars I kept in my backpack. March brought a new level of torment. Tyler somehow got into my locker. I never figured out how. Maybe he stole my combination. Maybe he picked the lock. Maybe he bribed a janitor. But I started finding things in there. Rotten food, dead insects, once a used condom. Each discovery made my skin crawl. Each one was a message. Nowhere is safe. I reported it. The school investigated, found nothing. Tyler suggested maybe I was doing it myself for attention. The counselor suggested I might want to talk to someone about the stress I was under. By April, I'd stopped participating in class, stopped raising my hand, stopped making eye contact with teachers, just showed up, sat in the back, took notes, left. My teachers probably thought I was depressed. They weren't entirely wrong. My parents definitely knew something was wrong by then. My mom found me one night, sitting in the dark in my room, just staring at the wall. She asked what was wrong. I told her I was thinking about not going back to school, about dropping out, getting my GED online. She was terrified, wanted to know what happened. I told her the truth, or part of it. That there was a guy who had it out for me. That he made school unbearable. That I couldn't take it anymore. My dad wanted to go to the school, to demand they do something. I begged him not to. Told him it would only make things worse. That Tyler was too smart, too protected, that nothing would change except he'd come after me harder for involving parents. We compromised. My parents set up a meeting with Principal Morris. They went alone, without me. I don't know exactly what was said, but I know Morris promised to look into it, to keep an eye on the situation. It did nothing. Except now Tyler knew my parents were involved, and that made him angrier. The Friday after my parents' meeting, Tyler found me in the parking lot after school, grabbed my backpack, threw it into a puddle. You got mommy and daddy involved? Really? What are you? 6 years old? Leave me alone, Tyler. Leave me alone, Tyler, he mimicked in a whiny voice. You can't even fight your own battles. You're pathetic. I picked up my backpack. Water dripped from it. My textbooks would be ruined. Again. Why do you even care about me? Why can't you just leave me alone? Because you don't belong here. His voice was cold, serious. You come from your fancy private school, think you're so smart, so special, and you're not. You're weak, and I'm going to keep reminding you of that every single day until you break completely or leave. What did I ever do to you? You existed. He shoved me, hard. I stumbled backward, almost fell. You walked into that robotics meeting acting like you were going to save us all with your big brain. Made me look bad in front of my team. And nobody makes me look bad. He walked away. I stood there in the parking lot, soaking wet backpack in my hands, and realized something important. Tyler wasn't going to stop. Ever. This wasn't going to end because I was quiet or nice or invisible. It would only end one of two ways. Either I left the school, or I made him stop. That night, that's when Maya knocked on my door. That's when I saw myself through her eyes and understood what I'd become, what Tyler had turned me into. I spent the weekend thinking, really thinking, about what I was willing to accept, about what kind of person I wanted to be, about what kind of example I was setting for Maya, who still thought her big brother was a hero. Monday morning, I walked into school with a plan. Not to fight Tyler. I knew I'd lose. He was bigger, stronger, more popular. But to fight differently, smarter. First, I started documenting everything. Every comment, every shove, every incident. I wrote it down with dates, times, locations, witnesses. I started recording on my phone whenever Tyler was around. Not obviously, just my phone in my pocket. Audio recording. I gathered evidence. Second, I stopped being invisible. Started sitting in the main cafeteria again. Started raising my hand in class. Started existing as loudly as I could. Because I realized that Tyler's power came from my silence. From my willingness to disappear. Tyler noticed. Tuesday, he confronted me in the hallway. What are you doing? Eating lunch. You don't eat lunch in the cafeteria. I do now. I kept walking. He grabbed my arm. Spun me around. You think you're tough now? You think something's changed? No. I met his eyes. I think I'm tired of being scared of you. His grip tightened. You should be scared, probably. I pulled my arm free. But I'm more tired than scared now. I walked away. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. But I walked away. Wednesday, Tyler knocked my tray out of my hands in the cafeteria. I bent down, cleaned it up, got another tray, sat back down, didn't react, didn't engage. Thursday, he bumped into me hard enough to slam me into a locker. I straightened up, looked him in the eye, said excuse me, and walked around him. Friday was the breaking point. I was in the library after school, working on a project. The library was usually safe teachers around, security cameras. Tyler came in anyway, sat down across from me at my table. You're trying to be brave, he said quietly. It's almost cute, but you and I both know how this ends. You can't keep this up. Eventually, you'll break. Or leave. Either way, I win. I closed my laptop, looked at him directly. Why are you so obsessed with breaking me? I'm not obsessed. You're just a project. No, it's more than that. I'd been thinking about this all week. You go out of your way. You spend time and energy on this. Why? What do you get out of it? He didn't answer immediately. Something flickered across his face. You wouldn't understand. Try me. You don't get it because you've never had to fight for anything. Everything was handed to you. Private school, rich family. Smart enough that school is easy. You just exist and good things happen. His voice was bitter. Some of us have to work for every single thing, have to prove ourselves every day. And then people like you show up acting like you deserve to just slide in and take what we've earned. I never tried to take anything from you. You didn't have to try. That's the point." He stood up. "Anyway, this conversation is boring. I'm going to make this simple for you. You have until the end of the year. Then you're leaving Lincoln High. Voluntarily or not, your choice." "What does that mean?" He smiled. "It means accidents happen. Lockers get vandalized. Rumors spread. Maybe someone starts dealing drugs out of your locker and administration finds out. Maybe your car gets keyed. Maybe worse things happen." He leaned down close. "I can make your life hell in ways you haven't even imagined yet. So do yourself a favor. Start looking at transfer options." He walked away. The librarian hadn't heard any of it. We'd been speaking too quietly. But my phone in my pocket had recorded every word. I sat there for a long time after he left. This was it. The actual threat. The line crossed from bullying into something potentially criminal. And I had it on tape. That weekend, I made another decision. Monday, I went to Principal Morris's office, brought my parents, brought my documentation, brought 3 weeks of recorded evidence. Morris listened to the recordings, read through my written documentation, looked at time-stamped photos of my vandalized locker. He was quiet for a long time. "Ryan, this is serious. Why didn't you come to me sooner? I tried. Nobody believed me. This is different." He paused. "These recordings, they're clear evidence. I'm going to have to suspend Tyler pending an investigation." My dad leaned forward. "Suspension?" He threatened my son. Threatened to plant drugs on him. "I understand, Mr. Foster. But we have to follow the process. Investigation first, then discipline." The investigation took 2 weeks. Tyler was suspended during that time. Those were the quietest, most peaceful 2 weeks I'd had at Lincoln High all year. Then Tyler came back. Not to school, he'd been expelled. But his parents were powerful, connected. They appealed, hired lawyers, argued that the recordings were obtained without consent, that my documentation was exaggerated, that their son was being railroaded. The school board overturned the expulsion, changed it to a 2-week suspension, which he'd already served, and mandatory counseling. Tyler would return to Lincoln High, just with some restrictions. He had to stay 50 feet away from me at all times. Couldn't contact me directly. Any violation would result in immediate expulsion. The day he came back, I was terrified, waiting for retaliation, for him to find some loophole, some way to hurt me that wouldn't technically violate the restraining order. But Tyler didn't come near me, didn't even look at me in the hallways. It was like I'd ceased to exist to him. Turned out, the recordings had done more than just document his threats. They'd revealed his real vulnerability. The school board and his parents had heard him admit that he'd been systematically tormenting me for 6 months, that he'd been planning to escalate, that this wasn't just teenage drama. It was calculated, deliberate harassment. His college recruiters heard about it too. Tyler had been heading to Stanford on a robotics scholarship. That scholarship was quietly rescinded. His chances at other top schools evaporated. The golden boy reputation he'd built so carefully was destroyed by his own recorded words. I didn't celebrate. Honestly, I felt kind of hollow about the whole thing. Like I'd won the battle but couldn't quite remember what it had cost me to get there. The last day of school, I saw Tyler in the parking lot. He was alone, loading boxes into his car. His family was moving. Fresh start somewhere else, I'd heard. I almost kept walking. But something made me stop. Tyler. He turned. For a moment, we just looked at each other. 2 kids who'd spent 6 months locked in something toxic and destructive. "I'm not sorry," he said finally. "About what I did. You asked for it." "No, I didn't." My voice was steady. "I showed up to a club meeting with some sketches and ideas. That's all. Everything else was you deciding I was a threat to. Whatever it was you needed to protect." He didn't respond. I hope wherever you go next, you figure out that making other people small doesn't make you bigger." I started to walk away, then paused. "And for what it's worth, that modular arm design you trashed, another school used almost the exact same concept. They placed first at nationals." I left him standing there, got in my car, drove away. I never saw Tyler Patterson again. Junior year was different. Word had spread about what happened. The truth, not Tyler's version. People who'd avoided me started talking to me again. Some apologized. Most didn't, but that was okay. I wasn't doing this for them. I rejoined robotics club. Mr. Harrison apologized for not being there that first day, for not realizing what Tyler was doing. We rebuilt the team, competed regionally, didn't win, but that wasn't the point. The point was that I'd stood up, that I'd refused to be erased, that when Tyler tried to make me nothing, I chose instead to become more fully myself. Maya still thinks I'm a hero. Now when she says it, I don't feel like I'm lying to her. And that night she asked me to play her board game, the night I decided I'd had enough. After everything was over, I went to her room, told her I was sorry for being distant, asked if she still wanted to play. We stayed up past midnight, playing her silly board game, laughing about nothing. And I realized that this normal, boring, beautiful moment with my little sister, this was what Tyler had almost stolen from me. This was what I'd fought to get back. Not the ability to walk through school without fear. Not revenge or justice or validation. Just the ability to be myself. To take up space. To exist without apology. The day I finally stood up to my bully wasn't the day I confronted him in some dramatic hallway showdown. It was quieter than that. It was the day I decided that his power over me only existed as long as I gave it to him. The day I chose to document instead of disappear. To exist instead of hide. The day I chose myself over my fear of him. That was the day everything changed.